So Marco, it's been great having you here in Davao City. I have begged and pleaded, and finally he...
After you deserted me.
All right, so that's kind of fair because I was living in Cebu City when Marco moved over here, and he kind of settled down there. I mean, you traveled around a little bit. You see this not so innocent face. And then I moved over to Davao City because, you know, I had some work I had to do. We had our offices in Cebu City, had to open up some more business offices here in Davao City. Does this guy give me a break? He does not. No sympathy. So finally you've made it over here. You've just been here about a couple weeks. I'm curious, big picture, love it, hate it.
Big picture, like most of the Philippines, love it, but Davao is a step up in quality of life issues.
All right, so let's break that down a little bit. So let's talk about traffic. Everybody loves to talk about traffic. Probably not. What's that like, you know, traffic and driving here? You know, you ride your bicycle a lot, you know, you're walking around places, you're driving. What's that been like, Davao versus Cebu?
The infrastructure here is a lot more developed.
Okay.
This is taking a step towards, we've talked about Thailand has a very good, Vietnam has a very good infrastructure. So it's a step up. And so you can jump on what would be, we call them highways or, you know, really higher speed, not a freeway, but higher speed. And so you can get around quicker. But it's, you know, down within the downtown area, you still can run into traffic, of course.
Definitely still traffic in Davao. I feel like they are doing road widenings and other things to try to improve that. But do you find traffic is same in Davao compared to Cebu, or?
No, traffic in Cebu is worse.
It's pretty bad. Yeah.
It can get really, you know, the rush hours, there's moments, especially if you're stuck in a taxi, in a car. Yeah, you're just going nowhere.
Sure. So what about you as a bicycle driver? You know, a little bit unusual for most expats here, but you are riding your bicycle every day. Do you feel safer here or Cebu City?
It's a mixed bag. I feel safer in Cebu because everybody's moving at the same speed I am, or I'm moving faster in traffic, which is always feels safer to me. Because, but as soon as traffic is moving a lot faster than me, I start to get nervous. And here, I've been on some highways that, you know, they're zipping by, and if a truck zips by me going 50 miles an hour and I'm going 15 or 5 up a hill, you know, that I don't like that. So that's kind of, but if I stayed here long enough, I'd learn all the different routes so that maybe I know. I don't want to be on that big highway going uphill because I know how it's got a skinny shoulder, etc. But
yep.
But it is a trade-off.
All right.
But if I'm jumping on the back of a moto taxi, yeah, you can get to places quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I find here in Davao City is that people are afraid of getting a ticket. So why do people not, you know, think twice before speeding or running a red light or things like that in Western countries? It's because they're afraid of getting a ticket. And it's not because they, you know, care about speeding or stuff as much as, you know, they don't want the penalty. And in Davao, traffic enforcers over here are really going to write a ticket if people are speeding, or especially if they're doing illegal, you know, turns or illegal U-turns. In Cebu City, I just don't see people getting tickets for
just
that.
In Cebu City at the big intersections where during traffic and there's somebody out there guiding, if somebody really...
Then they would get maybe a ticket, right? Yeah, but in Davao, eyes are everywhere. They're really watching.
As a matter of fact, I would say this, that on these high-speed highways, if somebody, and I saw this last night, somebody slows down and they're going to do a U-turn in the middle of this very busy, fast-moving traffic.
Right.
Obviously, they'd get a ticket if a cop was around, but people get pissed. So all of a sudden, it isn't the beep, 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 beep.
Sure.
It is the beep.
Full American style.
Letting that person know. And I've actually been honked at because I use my foreign power on my bike sometimes. And sometimes I'll do things, and I've gotten honked at in a way like, hey, we don't do that here.
Yeah.
You may do that in Cebu, but not here.
Exactly, yeah. People definitely follow the rules more in Davao. Absolutely.
And there's probably less accidents. I'm guessing, but that we'd have to do our research on that one.
So what about cleanliness? Cebu City versus Davao City.
Yeah, they've got their act together here when it comes to things like litter, and they've just obviously, enforcement and such, because you just don't see the type of litter that you see, unfortunately, in Cebu.
So in a given day, you're riding your bike around for, an hour. How often do you think you would see trash on the side of the road?
Hardly ever.
In Cebu City?
Oh, everywhere.
So let's be
Except IT Park. Except, places where the high-end people live. Yeah, those places are fairly clean.
Sure.
But generally, right next to those places, right next to Ayala Mall in Cebu, there's, a community. And yeah, people just, at this point, still, it's just okay to throw trash on the side.
Sure. All right. So before I get hate mail, do you get hate mail any day? Before I get hate comments.
This is why I don't do YouTube. Sorry.
So when you say you see trash everywhere, what I think of in Cebu is there is places where for whatever reason, people just designate that as the community garbage down on the side of the road, and I will see a lot of bags of trash there. I definitely do see more litter places. So you're not saying that literally everywhere your eyes are open you see trash.
No, but generally, wherever I ride, whether it's province or city, in Cebu City, it's not hard to see that there's just wrappers and plastic and things caught in weeds and such. So there definitely is a consciousness here among the people that either one, we don't want to get a ticket for littering maybe, or two, we like it clean.
That's true. So Cebu, I've tried to be as fair as possible here, but I have to agree with Marco. It's just not easy to see trash in Cebu. It's pretty common to see people peeing on the side of the road. Can you say peeing on the side of the road on YouTube?
I think you can.
All right. So it's just pretty common. In Davao, just really don't see
I haven't
trash
seen
yet.
it once.
I don't see people, using the sidewalks as a, bathroom or anything like that. Kind of gross to talk about. And listen, I lived in San Francisco before here. People were definitely using the streets as a bathroom from where I come from in the U.S. as well. So I'm not even just saying that happens here in the Philippines.
Right.
It definitely could happen in the U.S. as well. But Davao is pretty amazing how clean it is. So maybe it's not Japan, maybe it's not Singapore, maybe, but I feel that locals in Davao have a pride about keeping the place clean. All right, so let's look at a very important category: people. Cebu City versus Davao City. What are your first impressions of people in Davao?
Obviously, we're in the Philippines, so generally speaking, people are incredibly friendly and nice and such. Here, just a little more conservative.
How does that show itself?
How does that show itself? Just not quite as laughy-giggly right immediately.
Yeah.
And so whoever you're talking with, there's just a little more reservation, whereas in Cebu, man, people are just so
Very friendly.
gregarious, out there, just like, yeah, come on in my home, come on out,
Yes.
Drink Red Horse with us right this second.
Yes. So I would definitely say, Cebuanos in general tend to be a lot more extroverted. I want to say hospitable, but I mean more immediately hospitable. Yes. They tend to be more immediately friendly, welcoming, big smiles, like you said. So I think for foreigners that go into Cebu, it really is a very big difference. You just feel immediately people are warm and welcoming and friendly. And that's why I think Cebu City is one of the really ideal places to consider first going if you've never been to the Philippines before. When I first came to Davao City, I felt like people are kind of unfriendly here. That was my first impression, because I thought everybody was like Cebu, just immediately, open and friendly and would talk to you. Since living here, though, I gotta say, I found that people in Davao are every bit as friendly and warm and welcoming and hospitable, but
it's gonna just take you a little longer.
Yes. Overall, after being here for a while, what do you feel about the people now that you've kind of acclimatized a little bit.
The difference is not that great for me. I'm in the Philippines, and as a matter of fact, I've now pretty much hit most of the corners of the Philippines, and wherever I go, generally people are friendly, they're nice, my foreign power pretty much works everywhere, and I say that in a positive thing, is that they're immediately lighting up and, how can we make your day better, etc.
Right. So when you say that, because people might say, what is this
You
for?
got to see the other video we made on foreign power.
Yeah. Check it out up here. It's really just talking about the influence that foreigners have here.
Right.
Yeah, that's all we're saying.
Yeah.
So what about comparing Cebu City versus Davao City with cost?
For me, it's been almost the same. I don't notice much difference in anything.
Okay.
When I go on Airbnb, it's basically, again, in that $20, 1,000 peso a night range, and I can find a nice place.
Sure. For me, I gotta say, I have found condos in Davao City, in my experience, more expensive, probably by about 25% than what I found in Cebu City. So say I'm at this one-bedroom condo over here. It is right in the center of the city and all the rest, but it's $45K a month. That's overpriced for me. But in Cebu, it'd be about $35K a month for the same.
Would your guess be, is it desirability? People want to be in Davao versus?
I think that there's less supply of condos, which drives the prices up. Cebu City, Manila, there's a ton of condos. So I think that, lowers the cost as well. My understanding is that condos are a little bit newer in Davao compared to places like Cebu. So that's also part of it as well. People are willing to spend more. However, with office rent, I would say that it's about 40 to 50% lower than Cebu City. So most expats don't care about the cost of office rent. But for me as a business owner over here, it's a huge difference lower in Davao. So even though my housing is, a bit more, I really save over here because office rent is just much lower over here. So what about entertainment? And I know that's a broad category and it depends on what kinds of stuff you're into. But what do you find differences, Cebu City versus Davao City?
I would say most of it feels the same. Your malls have some movie theaters, and the malls also provide other types of entertainment. One thing that I didn't get a chance to do this time was to go snorkeling, freediving like I like to do.
Sure.
But I know that's available. I just didn't get a chance to do it. This is actually not the good a time of year to do that here. So, but I have a feeling that would be reasonably the same price and availability as, let's say, Mactan in the Cebu area.
Sure. So for guys that want to go out to clubs or bars or partying or out late at night, that is a huge difference here. Cebu City is way more of a party town than Davao City. Here, things really close down. It's either 12 a.m.
Yeah, they have that rule
where there's no more alcohol allowed here, and so things tend to slow down. Now there's still places open later, but the alcohol definitely stops here far earlier. And in Davao, there's pretty much one or two, popular clubs over here. And so if that's your scene, Cebu, Manila are definitely going to be more of the cities for you. Davao's a bit more chill kind of place where there is stuff like that to do, but just not nearly as much. It really is a little bit more of a conservative, reserved city, I think, compared to Cebu City.
Yeah, and I have seen the KTV, JTV bars to do karaoke.
Yeah.
If guys want to meet some Filipinas, and but not as many what we would call an expat bar.
Sure.
I haven't.
Yeah, they're everywhere in Cebu.
Yeah.
They are here, but just not nearly this level. Yeah.
Would you say there's more expats here or Cebu?
That's really hard to tell. Most people are going to say Cebu, but for me, I feel like I see them everywhere in Davao. It's also been easier for me to meet other expats here in Davao.
Interesting.
So per capita, I'm not sure. Probably Cebu, but it just might be because of the areas in Davao City where I am. I see expats here fairly regularly.
Right.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. So if you had to pick one city to live,
Really?
Davao.
Really?
Where would you pick?
At this point, so hard. Can I have John in Cebu?
Well, I with work, yeah, I need to be in both places, but I personally am in Davao more
I
often.
think I'm still a little more attached to Cebu because I have a lot of Filipino friends I've met there.
Sure.
So when I go back there this next time, there's a list of people I want to see before I jet off to my next place.
Yeah, yeah. And at the end of the day, it really comes down to the people.
It does.
Yeah.
And I've said that a million times because so many times we see it on the YouTube channels, Tawi Tawi, look at the gorgeous white sands of the. That all wears thin very quickly,
Sure.
and you're left with people.
Yeah.
So establishing relationships, I guess that's a piece of advice, establishing relationships, and that happens through slow travel. For somebody who's traveling, you're obviously living here and have a business, so you immediately start to establish relationships. But that's critical. That's really critical for anything.
Sure, sure. Big picture, would you recommend both cities
Yes.
to expats?
Yeah, absolutely. And, people will have their different flavor. And I think every person would make a different choice depending on their experience they had, which may not have to do with anything of which is better. It's just like, oh, I met my, my soulmate. You meet your soulmate in one place. It really doesn't matter what that city's like.
Right.
You're now kind of vested in that city.
Yeah, yeah. For me, I love both places. Davao is definitely where my heart is at the moment. And part of that might be because I was in Cebu for 4 years and it's nice to have a bit of a change. But it really is a bit more chill here. And I just, traveling and a lot of things just feels a lot more relaxing here. I really do love people in both places. But I got to say, Davao's been a great place to be as well.
Well, I am very glad I finally made it to visit not only you, but Davao. And it is. My hat's off to the people, the leadership of the city that really have stepped up and maybe provide an example for other cities. Hey, you don't have to have certain of the debilitating, super heavy traffic, or if it's lit or whatever it is, they have. So that would be interesting to kind of know what is it the leadership does here that other cities don't do, can't do. I'm not sure.
Yeah, definitely kudos to Davao City. Well, guys, would love to hear your thoughts. Have you been to Davao or Cebu? What do you think? If you've been in another city over here that you love even more, definitely would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear us blabber, and take care.